Hey guys, welcome back. Mitch here with another video on our Hyundai XL race car build where we are taking a street legal car, or in this case a unregistered, unroadworthy car, and turning it into a neat little track car that I can fit my big self into this tiny little beast. Now, last episode we made a switch panel for our car where we put 6 switches in there lit up with LEDs so we could turn different parts on within the car while out on track or racing. Today we're going to be putting some gauges into the car so I can see my water pressure, my water temp, my oil pressure, and my revs, my tacho, and speed while out on track. I'll show you how to do that a little bit later, but first we need to sort something out within this garage because I've only got these 2 fluorescent lights within this garage to light up this entire build. Now, I've got the garage door shut. It is about 7:15 at night. I've had to start doing work at night now because my wife's gone back to full-time work. I'm looking after the boys throughout the day on school holidays. So the only time I get to work on this car in our garage is at night time and trying not to wake up the neighbours creating too much noise. Now that being said, I need to fix up some dark spots within this garage. Now if you look around here, it doesn't look like it right now, but in these corners it is really dark. And even down here in the car, it's dark in there. And when I pop the bonnet open or the hood, it's really dark underneath there. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to take a quick trip down to the hardware store, Bunnings or Home Depot, it's equivalent of Home Depot over in the States. We're going to pick up some LED lights on some tripods, just to give us a bit of extra light in the garage while we work on this car, and we can move them around to the different parts of the car when we need them. So without further ado, let's get to it. Guys, it is currently 7:30 at night, 32 degrees and 81% humidity, sweating, way too hot. Oh, thank you Lord. Have a look at that, perfect spot for it. We'll go for a couple of these ones, no, a couple of those ones there. $35 each, and then we'll get maybe one of the smaller ones here, and then a few other things for tonight. Alright, we're back now. I've got my 2 lights set up. Both of these are 3200 lumen work lights. So I've got one on both sides of the car, one over there, one here, and I just tested these things out before. It is amazing the difference this will make. So if I open up the driver's side door and you look in now, it's quite dark in there. Can't really see much. It definitely needs some light, but if I turn both of these things on at the same time, that is insane how bright it is in there and easy to see and work through. So the LED lights, just some Arlec, just the Arlec brand from Bunnings, and then I also do have a 1400 LED work light down there that I can use in the car if I don't want to use these big things. But these things are phenomenal. Even if I turn the lights off in the garage itself, still nice and bright within the car. Now we'll get straight into the our dash. So when I started getting these gauges, what I wanted to do was, I had already got some Saas water temp and oil pressure gauges, just the round ones, and I was going to put them in the car, and I was umming and ahhing about where I was going to put them. And originally I was just going to put them on a little bracket just back behind here, and you see I've got a bracket mounted on top of the steering column there. So I've just got some countersunk screws through. There's 2 holes actually on the steering column that I mounted it to, and I've just got some mounting points on either side, and you'll see why in a second. But then I looked at my dash and I thought, well, there's no actual tacho on there, no RPM readout. If I wanted to change gears, there's only a speedo, fuel, and a temp sensor. So for me, I really wanted something that I could use to display RPM, and shift lights was something that I was kind of umming and ahhing about. Again, you could get $200 shift lights and put it in there and connect it all up, which is great. Until I found this little product here. So it's from a company called Just Race Parts. This is the dash we're going to be putting in to our car. So if you look here, it's got our water temp, oil pressure on the other side, and this is our little dash that we've got, and those little dots up the top are actually shift light indicators. And this thing here, when you hook it up to their control box, can display 14 different readouts, or 14 different readouts on the screen. I think you can have up to 6 or 8 on the screen at any one time. But the beautiful thing about that screen is you can daisy chain it together, so you can have 2 screens running different readouts. Now, that screen alone is $99, and then I do have the control box that they sent me. So if you look at this, inside you've got the control box. Now, all this comes from a company called Just Race Parts. This control box is $200 plus shipping. But the beautiful thing is that when you get it, not only do you get your control box, you get sensors. There's 2 sensors there. Inside here, you've got all your connecting cables, your wiring cables, more sensors. And I'm not talking about this cheap sensors too. They're actually very, very good quality sensors. So you can have IATs, oil pressure, oil temp, boost, water temp, whole range of sensors and inputs that you can have in your car. It's hot tonight. It's about 30 degrees outside, and it's now about 8:30, so sweating. So that's what we're going to be using. Putting this control box into the car. I've mounted it up to another black Jiffy box from J-Car. Love those Jiffy boxes. And I've already pre-mounted it in the car. As you can see, I've got the bracket there for it. So I'll show you how we're going to mount this, wire it up. I will be connecting up to some of the switches down there and start running some cables. So I've just been doing a bit of wiring, getting things a bit organized. I did test our dash here. It comes on, it works nicely. So I've just got the cord leading to that out of the back. So just the holes for the Jiffy boxes, I think they're 52mm holes. And then on for the hole for the gauge for the dash, I just traced around where it needed to be, did some measurements, used the Dremel, just cut around it and put it in there, and then fastened it from the back. On the back of it, I've just drilled a few holes for the cables to go in for the different gauges. This one being for our race dash, these 2 for our water temp and oil pressure. So on the bottom, I've just got some riv nuts down there. I've just put some foam just to keep it from vibrating too much. It does fit nicely. This is a 3mm piece of aluminium, nice and firm, sturdy. And all we're going to do is, it just sits on there like so, and I've got some bolts somewhere here. Some 16mm, I think they're M6. I'll just put them in. Now they do clear the gauges, which is nice. I'll put one this side. Now, all of this can be easily unplugged if you need to check for wiring or any issues that may be occurring. My big fingers have to get in there. And I've got some spring washers on there as well, so these bolts shouldn't be coming out. like that. So that's fairly firmly in there. And like I said, this cord, which will lead to the control box for the dash here, that is just going to go down almost along the steering column, back behind our dash there, back along the other side. So we just feed it through here, pull out the other side. So now this, our ECU is not going to stay there. It will be moving when the cage gets in. It'll just be probably sitting down here along the side of the cage to clear off some space, make everything nice and neat. So now I've got that bolted in, I totally forgot to put the connections in for the water temp and oil pressure. So now I'm going to have to pull it back out and stick those back in. Silly me. Alright, fix that. So I've got all our cables running down behind the unit here, so it'll run along, kind of along the steering column to where it needs to meet up with all its connections. And all I've done is just put some spade connections there to make it easy. Now on the Saas gauges, you got a red wire, white wire, orange wire, green and black. So obviously black's your ground, your green is to your sensor for the reading you want to get, and then you've got your red, white and orange. I've just joined all those together. You can change them to make the gauges different colors, things like that. These ones will be green. I'm not really fussed. As long as I can see it and it's illuminated, it's fine by me. So I'll connect all those up, get up to our switches, and then we'll get all this thing up and running, and then we'll connect it up to our sensors. Don't know if we'll be able to start this car tonight because I've got great neighbours and I really don't want to annoy them. It is almost 10:30 at night, and starting this car right now would not make them happy, I don't think. Might have to start it in the morning, but at least we'll see it all up and running and get it going. But now it's just to connect these up, join them up to our switches, and away we go. Sorry about all the flashing. I've got an LED light flashing in there. So we've got our dash mounted now. I've got it all hooked up to our switches, our kill switch, our ignition. It's an absolute mess of spaghetti wires down there, which I'll have to go through and clean up. And I haven't mounted the actual control box for the dash yet, the 14-in-1 gauge, but I'll get to that. I just have to cut some angle alloy for that, which will be a bit too loud for this time of night, so I'll do that tomorrow, paint it all up, mount it up, and then it'll be good to go. So this is what it looks like once I start it. So I just ignition on, oh, kill switch, sorry, ignition. So I hit the dash, on it comes. Now all this stuff here you can change. It's got water temp, clock, kilometers an hour, trip meter and things like that. You can change all of that. For me, like sitting back where I am, it is very, very clear for what I need. If I turn the gauges on, they pop on at the same time. I've got them wired into the same switch, so they just come on at the same time, but obviously they have their own separate source of different gauge and different source of for sensor. That one being water temp and that one being oil pressure, which I'll wire up in a second. So yeah, the new steering wheel I've got, which I'll do in the next video, it sits just about there. Sorry, it won't, not against the actual dash, but about there. So you still see all the shift lights, see everything there, but that is, I'm actually really happy with that, the way that turned out. So you just flick it off. I know it's a bit extra. It's a bit not really necessary, but I needed something that had the revs. Shift indicator is just a bonus, and for the price I couldn't go past it. The reason why I've got it wired into different switches is at the end of a race, if I just want to keep an eye on the water temp and oil pressure and things like that, I can just turn off the dash and just let those sit there, and I can just keep an eye on that. If I want to turn those off and just run the dash, I can do the same thing like that. But yeah, it's all personal preference, really. For this, I know there is the micron that a lot of people are running, and they run in the dash. Like Triple Eight have a big fancy dash that you can put in there. No problem with that. This is just the way I've decided to do it. I know some people run their gauges in the center panel down here. Some run the Nugget Project gauge pods up here, which is a brilliant bit of kit. I just prefer, for me, where I sit in the car, to actually see straight ahead, see all the gauges in front of me, and then look over instead of looking over there. It's just personal preference. So yeah, I'm actually really happy with how that came out. So now I've just got to wire it all in for the revs, things like that, the tacho, the water temp, and the oil pressure, and we'll get that done right now. I've hooked up the water temp sensor right here. Just tried to do it neatly. I only had some white cable, so I'm going to go get some black cable tomorrow and fix that up. Now I don't have the socket big enough for the oil pressure sensor, which is just down in there, so I have to go and get one of those tomorrow and then finish this up tomorrow. But I know the water temp sensor actually does work, because I filled it up with some hot water and the gauge did rise. So obviously it's cooled off now, but the gauge did rise, so it works. Hopefully the oil pressure sensor works and we can get that taken care of and get it all squared away. So I'm gonna have to pick it up tomorrow. I'm gonna get a few more gear because it's midnight and there'll be no shops open right now. I'm back, it's the next day. I have got that factory oil pressure switch, or oil pressure sender unit down there. I've got that out. I've put the new Saas one in. I'm gonna just clean up all these wires at a later date, make them nice and neat and tidy. I do have a bit of split loom tube that goes there. It keeps those guys nice and tidy, and I'll do the same for this one. Keep them out of the way, keep them out of the heat. I literally just wired them up so I could then figure out what they look like with the gauges, with the car running. And I tested them out just before and they work really well, so I'll show you that in a second. But what I'm going to do now is hook up our dash to the tachometer in the car, the cable for the tachometer. Now I did realise today that I believe this car runs a mechanical speedo in the car, so I may not be able to put the speedo on this. That doesn't matter for me. I'm not too fussed, because at the end of the day, if I'm worried about what speed I'm doing, I'm worried about the wrong thing. I just want to go fast, and I really just want to see the revs and the shift light indicator, which is what I've got. And then if I want to add some other gauges in there or some data in there, I can. But it's really just the revs and the shift lights that I really needed. Yeah, so and if I'm in a major race and pit stops are involved for some reason, I could always throw a phone in there with a GPS speedometer on there, and just get my Ks going down pit lane. So at this point in time, I'm not too fussed at that. I just want to get this in. So now it's just to get the wire to the control unit, and then get that hooked up, and then we'll be good to go. And I'll start this car and I'll show you how it all looks. Alright guys, I've wired this, I've got the tacho signal out of the wiring harness. I found that after doing a bit of searching. Wired it all up into our control box. It's all good to go. I have started up to see if it all works. Perfect. I'll show you exactly what it looks like right now. Again, this is obviously something that is probably a bit extra. I do need a tacho to see the revs. It's got the shift lights in it, which is awesome. Some people do big tachos like with the needle. This being digital, I think is pretty cool. And its location is something I don't really see many other people doing within this category. So it's really cool, but this is what it looks like. So turn it on. I do have to rewire something here, rewire one of the cables to the battery so it remembers all my preferences that I do it. I didn't think I would need to, but I am going to have to do that. So for an example, this one here, it's got 5,000 to 8,000 revs. That'll actually change when I make my preferences from 3, it'll go from 3 to 6,500 revs. Kilometers aren't set up. Then it's got my shift lights. There are 4 different screens you can choose from. For an example, we'll go from this one. So I'll start the car. Again, like I said just before, water temp is up already because I have just run the car. Same with the oil pressure, it's a little bit lower than when it first started because I have had the oil running through the engine. It's pretty warm. But yeah, as you can see, RPMs are up. We hit the gas just fractionally. It's pretty responsive. So yeah, it's a pretty cool little unit, and I'll show you something really cool on this now when we get into the settings. For the shift lights that it uses, you got 3 different options. So if you go down to set, you've got left to right up the top there, right to left. So I'll probably go for the center option, meeting in the middle. And all these LEDs across here, you can actually pre-select different colors. I think there's 8 different colors that you can choose from green, blue, purple, red, cyan, white, whole range of different colors, orange obviously. So I'll make that up. But what I'll do is when I get this cable rewired and it's all set up, I'll show you the selections I've made and the display screen I'm going to be choosing, and then we'll and you can see how I'm going to run it. But I'm pretty stoked with how all that's come out. So I'll take it back and show you the colors. So you've got green, purple, you can see the purple one there, blue, oh sorry, that's cyan, orange, white, there's a multi, there's a blue, red, green, purple, back to purple. So a range of different colors, and they're really bright. So yeah, I'll rewire this car and I'll finish the video up here. Thanks for watching. If you've made it this far, guys, thank you for sticking around. It means you're actually obviously interested in this build. Go ahead and smash that notification bell. Subscribe if you haven't already. I've got another video coming up very, very soon with our steering wheel and the option I've gone for that. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you'd know the steering wheel that I've chosen and how that will work with this little gauge setup. But yeah, I'll upload another video very shortly. But until then, guys, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you next time. Bless you.